confidence in Jalen Hurts right now. Because that's really, we can complain about Nick Sirianni and whose offense is this and everything else and blah, 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 blah. This is going to come down to the quarterback. This is going to come down to how well Jalen Hurts can play this year, this season. It is. And a lot of times, and even when I say this, man, I will get DMs from people that are pissed when I say that we baby Jalen Hurts. And there was a lot of talk going back a couple years. Is he good enough? Is he not good enough? Can he be a good enough passer? Is he a backup? Does he run too much and all that stuff? Where there was a really, really, I'm not going to say a good back and forth, but I think there was a legitimate debate on whether or not he was the long-term answer as the Eagles quarterback. And he has proven to be the long-term answer as the Eagles quarterback. But as we step into 2024, coming off of last year's collapse, so far in 5 games, very underwhelming. He's been an average quarterback. You're going back almost not quite a full season if you go from year to year, but a lot of games. They are 4-8 in their last 12 games. Now, we like to use that stat with Nick Sirianni against them, right? Like, oh, fire Nick Sirianni. He's 4-8. Well, Jalen Hurts is also 4-8 too as the quarterback, right? And I feel like that we do a lot of babying of Jalen Hurts. For example, the Browns game. And I thought Jalen played relatively well. He played well in the Browns game. I don't really have any complaints. But a lot of people are acting like, oh, that was a good win. Jalen played really well. Like, okay, what are we talking about? One of the worst teams in the NFL at home, 1 o'clock coming off a bye week. That was one of these games that it should have been 30-something to 12 going into the fourth quarter. But because we have now reduced our expectations for, in my opinion, Jalen Hurts, because it's not this offense. You still have A.J. Brown. You still have Devontae Smith. Now, Dallas Goedert's injured. That's a whole nother story. You still have a good offensive line. Jordan Mailata's injured. That's a whole nother story. Saquon Barkley is a stud, right? And then I'm not exactly sure what this offense is anymore. But, to me, this is a question of Jalen Hurts. And do I think that Jalen Hurts and his performance last week is a positive sign? Yeah, absolutely. Didn't turn the ball over. The formula for winning, for the Eagles winning, is Jalen Hurts not turning the ball over and Jalen Hurts making several splash plays over the course of a game. That could be a deep ball. That could be wiggle out of pressure, roll to the right, make a great play with his arm. That can be a run. But Jalen Hurts needs to make these big plays. Jalen Hurts can't just be a quarterback to be successful. He's not a good enough thrower. He's just not. So the splash plays, the big plays, that's what Jalen did back in 2022 so well. He did get better as a passer. He didn't turn the ball over, right? So the other question with this team is, well, what is this offense? And I've seen a lot of this on social media where they'll come up with the throw chart and they'll give, this is what Kellen Moore did with Dallas. This is what Kellen Moore did with the Chargers. This is what Kellen Moore is doing with the Eagles. I'm reading from Benjamin Solak, who used to do the podcast with Shield. Now he's writing full-time for ESPN. He's really a star, but he's been kind of writing with this kind of stuff here for the last couple years. And he writes, this is not Moore's offense, not even close. This is Hurts's offense. It is a spread gun offense with a complex running game that involves the quarterback. It wins with isolation routes and basic half-field concepts that take advantage of wide formations and the run threat via the run-pass options. It is, in short, the same college offense the Eagles have been running with Hurts for years. The offense is 95% the same, and it's going to run into the same problems it always has, especially if pass protection doesn't stay elite as the Eagles continue to contend with offensive line injuries. So what he's saying is this is the same offense, except it's a little bit different because they're running more motion and it's a different offensive coordinator, it's a different play caller. But it's the same thing. And it is based on the run threat option of the run pass option. So if the run pass option isn't working and isn't a big part of this offense, it's probably not going to work. Well, that's an issue because I don't want my offense being predicated on a run pass option. That's not going to work long term. Your quarterback's never going to stay healthy doing that. The quarterback needs to be a better quarterback. Look at the spread charts. There was another one that I saw online today. He didn't throw it in the middle of the field. He actually wrote, what's the other thing right here, and then we'll move on. But he says the middle of the field targets that were promised would return to this offense, they haven't. 7% of Hurts' pass attempts this season have been delivered between the numbers and between 10 to 20 yards downfield. So think about that. 7% of Hurts' pass attempts, not completion attempts, are between 10 and 20 yards downfield and between the hashes. So intermediate routes. They're not doing it. Why aren't they doing it? Why are they running the same offense? Why is it this same college, as it was termed right here, college offense that they've been running? That's a rhetorical question that I think the answer is pretty obvious. It's because Jalen Hurts. He's limited. When Jalen Hurts is on, like in 2022, and he was hot and he was confident and he was making plays with his legs and he was making big plays, this offense is dynamic and dangerous. Have we seen that offense since last year? Since week 10, 11 of last year, the Bills game? We haven't. As long as he doesn't turn the ball over, I think the Eagles are going to be pretty good. But for having the dynamic playmakers and the firepower they have on offense, what this has looked like here is not acceptable, and it's not good enough. So overall, I would say my confidence in Jalen Hurts is he's not terrible. He's a good quarterback. Is he a great quarterback? No, he's not. Is this a Super Bowl team? No, not. Is this a 10-win team? Yeah. Yeah. Is it going to be an inconsistent team? Could they lose to the Giants on Sunday? Yep, they could.